Hello and welcome to Chicago Arts. This is MartinJon, and I got a chance to speak with Loren Erdrich, who recently returned from a residency at the Vermont Studio Center.
It was like being back in school when all you have to do is your work, and you're just living and breathing and eating your work. I mean, that's all you do, and you're surrounded by other artists, and you're just talking about art, and I mean, that part from being in Chicago where I have my own studio, I'm somewhat isolated, unless I'm collaborating with other people, to go back and have this experience of just being able just to focus on my work, and no bills, no, how to make a living, nothing like that. There were two visiting artists while I was there, Andy Yoder, who's a sculptor, and Harriet Shore, who's a painter. And it was particularly helpful to talk to Andy Yoder because he, as a sculptor, we could talk then about my wool pieces. And I really, I come from a more 2D background, and so the wool is a new adventure for me. So to actually, but still I think as I've been working on them over the past few years, I still kind of think of them as, not as 2D, but like, I hadn't really kind of began to think of really how they interacted with the space. They were just kind of objects, like these kind of very specific little objects. And so, being there and talking to him and talking to other sculptors, it kind of enabled me to begin to think of really how they interact with the space, how they interact with each other, not just as separate little beings, It definitely is a craft, yeah, totally.
Okay.
Right, which is interesting to me because how I learned even about the process was through a teacher in Ireland that taught at a Woldorf school, and they would do them there. And actually, when you meet people, like on the residency, I met someone that went to a Waldorf school, and she totally recognizes the aesthetic and the medium and all that. Now I'm kind of beginning or attempting to think of them less as dolls and more as more sculptural, which is interesting, and it's new for me.
So it's becoming more of an element rather than an end product?
Yeah, I also really am interested in how the drawings interact with the dolls.
Okay.
So if I have them in a space together, it's like how do displaying them or setting them up in such a way that the two belong together. I mean, as they do I consider they belong together all the time, but that you can kind of get that as a viewer as well.
Right.
I mean, I would say my view has totally changed depending on where I am. In Ireland, it was contemporary art scene, but then also the community that I'd built up around where I lived and everything, which was more a rural area. So you had a really interesting mix of people that maybe were more used to landscapes or more traditional works, but then also knew me as a person and appreciated the contemporary side of things.
Right.
So we have to definitely like contemporary kind of work, I'd say. Like my mom always wants me to paint something above her couch. It's not that type of work,
Right.